Hello, everybody. It's me, Shannon LaBruyere. I'm live and loving it tonight. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. We are exploring the principles that allow us, that empower us to thrive in change. The change we want, the change we don't, the expected change, the unexpected change. All of those changes are a part of our lives, and we explore ways that we can be resilient in the face of change. I want to welcome you for jumping in, for leaning into the principles that we talk about here, because when you grow yourself, you change your world. Tonight, we are going to be focusing on the Thrive principle, hashtag respect the now. I chose Respect the Now for this one because I want to invite each and every one of us, me included, to examine ourselves as we talk about tonight's topic. I want to make sure that none of us have got some of these sneaky myths controlling our thought processes or coloring how we're approaching the positive changes that we want to see in our life. So, it's hashtag respect the now. It is what it is. We're going to be honest with ourselves, and then we'll be able to move forward. Oh, I love it. So, welcome. Thank you for jumping in. Hey, Kelly, I'm glad you're here. Philip, I'm glad you're here. And thanks for capturing our Thrive principle tonight. Respect the now. If you are new to Sunday Night Live, say hi, drop your name in the comments, let us know where you're from, and make sure you give StreamYard permission to use your Facebook profile and picture so that we know who you are. Welcome, welcome. All right, and I have some exciting news. So I'm going to go to first our sponsor, which is thumbroastcoffee.com. And I'm going to take a moment here to just pour some love on the owner of Thumb Roast Coffee, Missy Bobo. She received a very prestigious award from the Michigan Celebrates Small Business Association. She received the Small Business Award. And there's going to be a huge gala at the capital of Michigan in May, and she's going to be one of the people they celebrate because Missy, who is a faithful participant in Thrive and Change in the Sunday Night Live. She's a faithful viewer. She is a faithful participant in Livestream Leadership Program, where we meet Saturday mornings and women learn to lead themselves and others well. She has been diligent in growing herself, and we are going to do a live broadcast with Missy. We're going to pick her brain as a successful business owner. And we are going to talk about how growing yourself allows you to grow your business, whether that is a business where you're trying to make money and you're an entrepreneur, or maybe it's just your father's business, what you're going about every day, trying to do what God's called you to do in your life and fulfill your purpose. So I'm excited for that. I dropped a link to that Facebook Live event in the comments here. So if you want, just go there and click it, and then you can hit that you're going to attend, and it'll be great. But I am excited and looking forward to celebrating the owner of Thumb Roast Coffee, Missy Bobo, for receiving the Michigan Celebrates Small Business Award for 2023. So well done, much applause. Mwah, well done. And you guys, Missy believes in what we do here so much that she and her business sponsor Sunday Night Live. And because they sponsor Sunday Night Live, you, fortunate you, get a discount when you go purchase coffee at the thumbroastcoffee.com website. All you have to do, put in that coupon code THRIVE, 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 and you will get 15% off. What a generous gift from Thumb Roast Coffee. And I am really excited to see you guys there on Tuesday when we do our live. It's going to be on the Thrive and Change page, same place you go to watch Sunday Night Live, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Samantha, hi, it's good to see you. And Mary, always glad to have you here. All right, so let's get started. So tonight's topic is that's just not true. We're talking about 3 myths that are going to keep you from your potential, that will keep you from changing even a little bit toward fulfilling your purpose and potential. These myths will put you in a stranglehold. And so we're going to explore those. And I'm not going to lie, I am guilty of some of these. Way back when I first got married, and I just celebrated my 40th anniversary. So it was a long time ago. I had a bad habit of slamming doors, slamming car doors, and it drove my husband nuts. And I would slam the car door and all the mirrors would rattle. And he's like, oh my gosh, she's ruining our car. It's going to fall apart. It's going to rattle. It's going to be awful. And I just kept saying, oh, you know what? Oh, that's just me. That's just what I do. That's just me. I can't help it. And he finally took me aside and said, Shannon, enough with this. I can't help it. Enough with this. That's just me. You can help it. You're going to have to think about it. It's going to take effort, but you can change your behavior. My mind was blown. And he was right. I could stop slamming doors, slamming car doors, slamming cupboard doors. I could. It took effort, it took intentionality. But once I became aware that I was doing it, tuned in to that bad habit, I was able to start choosing not to. Bam. Here's the thing, and it's our first myth. The myth of that's just me. That's just who I am. Do you know anybody who speaks their mind without thinking? They speak the truth, but it's not in love. Know anybody like that? And when you call them out on it, what do they say so often? Yeah, that's just me. I just am a truth teller. Or maybe you're just an excuse maker. Here's the thing. That's just me is going to keep you bound. That's just me is a myth that you can shake. Sometimes we are confident in what we're doing. I had a boss who his favorite thing to say to me was, Shannon, you may be wrong, but you're never in doubt. And I used to tease back and say, I think that's a good thing. But you and I both know that's not a good thing. We can be confident and heading to a really bad place. Years ago, we were on a youth group trip and I was not driving, and Ken happened to be with us, but he wasn't driving either. Some other guy was driving, and we were making great time. I mean, great time. And we were heading to Indianapolis, making great time. So if you want to go to Indianapolis from Detroit, basically you take I-94 and then you catch I-69 and then you just take I-69 until you end up in Indianapolis, right? Piece of cake. And we were just flying on I-94. And then all of a sudden, one of us noticed in the midst of our laughing and joking, we noticed one of the road signs and it definitely said we were heading to Chicago. You guys, we were making great time, confidently driving on the expressway, going to the wrong state. We were flying to Chicago when we wanted to be heading to Indianapolis. We missed a turn. We thought I-69 was intersected at a different place and we blew right past it, confidently heading to a bad place. You can be confidently heading speedily in the wrong direction. You can be climbing with all of your might up the wrong wall of success. I'm here to tell you it's time to take a deep breath and look and just acknowledge that you may be wrong. You might be misguided. You may be missing something. You may be making excuses. Here's the good news, you guys. That's just me. That's just you so far. Up till this point, what is it that you've been shrugging your shoulders and thinking, I can't change that. That's just who I am. And maybe it is a part of your personality or character that is positive, but maybe it's just a little out of scale. Maybe you need to fine tune it or hone it. that's just me. How about this? That was just you so far. You've got more change ahead of you that you get to intentionally make. You get to choose to grow into something else. So I'm curious, what are you guys shrugging your shoulders about and saying, oh, that's just me? Oh, Kelly, I love this. Kelly says, I have found that I actually can use the filter between my brain and my mouth. I applaud that. Right? That's wisdom right there, Kelly. That's growth. That's not shrugging your shoulders and saying the first thing that comes to mind because hey, that's just who I am. No, you're being intentional about making a choice. You get to choose to grow, and when we choose to grow, that's when that excuse of that's just me begins to fade. Or another way to look at it is that just me becomes a truth that's helpful instead of a myth that's hurtful. That's just me says, I can't change it because that's just who I am. That's the myth. And I never really thought of it, but this is really true. You can get to a place where somebody maybe can say to you, you're just so kind. You're such a good listener. And you can think to yourself, that's just me. We can grow, we can change. All right. All right. The next one, that's not true. That's just them. And there's nothing I can do about it. That's just them. That's just who they are. I spent many years working in the United States Postal Service. I worked with many supervisors. I worked alongside many great people, but there were a few that were very challenging. One of my coworkers was just very verbally abusive to everybody in his circle. It didn't matter who you were. He would talk bad to you. He would talk down to you. He would insult you. And to me, it crossed the line. I didn't feel like he was doing it in fun, even though that's not my idea of fun. But it was mean and it landed on me mean. And one day he said something so rude to me that I called him out on it. I said, you know what? You can't talk to me about like that anymore. I'm done with it. I am done listening to you talk to me like that. You're not going to call me names like that. You're not going to insult me like that. You're not going to embarrass me in front of people like that. So please do not speak to me anymore unless you can say something nice. And he was so angry because I called him out. And I had more people than I can count. People that I worked with, that I worked alongside for years, they come up to me and said, that's just how he is. That's just who he is. I said, oh, no, it's not. That's just who you let him to be. Here's the thing. When we tolerate abusive, inappropriate behavior from people, we are not being kind. We are allowing them to think that those misshapen, blunt, dysfunctional tools that they're using to interact with us, we make them think that they're okay and that they're good, but they're not. You know what's so beautiful? That same person that I called out and said, you can't talk to me like that, he didn't talk to me for months. And then one day I passed him in the hallway and he looked at me and he said, hey, Shannon, which was the nicest thing he had ever said to me in all the years I worked alongside of him. It was a start. Everybody else allowed that behavior, and I'd had enough. And so I called him out and said, cannot. So, that's just them is a myth. It is a myth. That's just how they are. Well, here's the thing. Some people want you to be small. Some people need you to stay small. Some of you are thinking of people in your life right now who want you to be small. That's just who they are. It may be. It may be, but it comes at great cost. Here's what I know. You have the power to set a, drum roll please, boundary. You have the power to set a boundary to protect what is valuable. Pastor Jerry Holland says this: don't approve bad behavior by not calling them out. I worked for years with a supervisor, and then she became a manager, and then she became a very high level manager because she got good results. And I talked to her boss one day because her way of dealing with people was very dysfunctional and very disrespectful. And part of my role was to help the workplace culture to be healthy. And I had many tools that I used to do that. And I worked with a lot of labor management teams to help facilitate better conversations and respectful discourse and helping people to work together. And so I went and talked to her boss, a high level executive in the organization, and said, you're not doing her any favors by allowing her to treat people this way just because she gets good results. It's costing too much. It's costing in the culture. It's costing in people's morale. It's costing her because she's not able to function at a high professional level. Like Pastor Hans said, don't approve bad behavior by not calling it out. And the people in your life, if you find yourself shrugging your shoulders, that's just who they are. That's just them. Well, how are you keeping yourself safe? Here's something that's true, and I really want you to consider this. Other people's limitations can become your shackles. I'm going to say that again. Other people's limitations can become your shackles. It's just them is not true. There is something you can do about it. And I encourage you to do so with kindness, with respect, but with a firm understanding of what boundaries you need to put in place to prevent people from stealing your joy, stealing your peace, stealing your potential, stealing your time. Oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. Oh, that's just who they are. It might be, but you just have to be who you are and who you are called to be. And you are the one who's been charged to be a steward of your gifts, your time, your talent, your future, your attitude. That's just them. No, that doesn't cut it. So Kelly says, I had a supervisor who enjoyed embarrassing his employees in front of others. And after watching this, Kelly says, I told him he will never do that to me. I started to do the same thing to him. He didn't like it and he stopped. That was one way to approach it. Fight fire with fire. You stood up to him. You stood up to him. It's not appropriate. You're not going to embarrass me like that. You're not going to call me out like that. Good for you for not taking it. What Pastor Helen describes toxic behavior, right? That's just them. Well, they may not be willing to change, but you can. You can change the way you interact. Here's something that I want. Well, hold on, let me find it. You don't get what you want. You get what you tolerate. Keep that in mind. That's just them, and there's nothing I can do about it. You get what you tolerate. We can be kind. We can bring the honor, right? Hashtag bring the honor. And tonight's Thrive principle is respect the now. So examine yourself. Examine the people that are in your life and what you're allowing them to do and say. And how is it impacting you? And do you need to set a boundary to protect what's valuable? And that leads us into this third myth. And this third myth is this: that's just the way it is. Always said with a shrug, well, that's just the way it is. Or sometimes with great sadness, it's just the way it is. It's always been that way. Here, Carol's popped in. She says, so agree. What I sometimes find interesting is they say hurtful things to you, and in the next sentence, say how much they hurt from people saying things to them. That disconnect, right? And Kelly kind of referenced that. It's small digs that I have a hard time with. It is brave to call them out. I'll amen to that. It is brave to call them out. Sometimes I feel like I just stop contacting them. That may be something rude I'm doing. It is hard to sometimes make decisions. Well, um, I don't know about rude, Carol, and it's certainly something that you can consider and think about, but erecting a reasonable boundary to keep your self respect intact is a great thing. And we don't have to do it with hatred or venom or animosity or anger. Sometimes we feel like we have to get mad before we can do something, but the best time to do it is before we get mad, right? It is hard sometimes to make decisions. That's why principles are so helpful. And also, coaching is so helpful. To be perfectly honest, those two things are so powerful together because principles guide us so that we don't get off course and allow our emotions to run us all over the place because we're mad or hurt. And then coaching allows us to have somebody outside of that frame. We can't see the whole picture while we're in the frame. You know, we can see this much, and having a coach on the outside of that frame who can ask us questions and help us to decide what steps we want to use to move forward in alignment with our values and our goals. So helpful. So helpful. Okay, the third myth is that's just the way it is. I'm not sure how many of you are native English speakers. There may be some people from overseas watching. I know we've had some viewers from Barbados before, but they were English speakers as well. But if you're a native English speaker, do you remember learning to speak English? Do you remember learning? Can you like think back and like all those fond memories you have? Like, oh yeah, I remember when I first learned how to say mama and daddy and bubba, donut, pop. Um, we don't. We don't remember it. The fact is, we just picked it up as we went along. We learned English as we went along. When I go through the drive-through, I get a pop with my dinner. I didn't decide to call it a pop. It's just what everyone around here calls it. Down in Florida, where my sister lives, they call everything a Coke, even if it's not a Coke. Here, if you order a Coke, you're getting a Coca-Cola pop. Just picked it up. It's just what we do around here. Didn't have to intentionally decide what am I going to call it. My grandpa used to say this phrase, oh gosh, yes. Oh gosh, yes. And then my mom used to say it, oh gosh, yes. You'd ask her a question, oh gosh, yes. And then I hear myself saying it. I didn't try to learn the phrase. I didn't try to put it on my planner every day. Don't forget to say, oh gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh gosh, yes. I didn't have to write it down. I picked it up. You've picked it up too. Now I say it all the time. Here's something that's really powerful. Kelly Hopkins says, my dad always said that. All right, so if you guys didn't know this, Kelly Hopkins, her dad used to say that. Kelly Hopkins's dad is my grandpa who used to say it. so it's the same guy saying it, Kelly. I love that. That makes me smile. Yes. Oh gosh, yes. Oh gosh, yes. We didn't try to pick it up. We learn everything like we learn language. We've learned ideas, we've soaked up attitudes, we've absorbed beliefs, not intending to do it, not trying to do it, not writing on a planner. I want to pick up my sense of bias from that old lady down the street. We don't do that. It just happens. And as we go through life, we start dragging all these junk ideas and putting them in this bag that we start hauling down the street, and it's heavy. No one wants to hire someone over 50. And we put it in the bag and off we go. All I have to do is keep working hard and things are going to be great. and we start going into that toxic work environment and breathing in that toxic culture and suffering panic attacks and just doubling down and carrying that bag. Successful people are lucky. These are attitudes that some of us, some of you have absorbed over time. Ah, money's the root of all evil. How about this? Take a moment and examine some of the weights that have beset you, some of the attitudes and beliefs and ideas that you're dragging around. Things like, ugh, I'll never amount to anything. Ugh, I'm an idiot. Ugh, I'm so stupid. Ugh, I'm bad at math. Ugh, I don't even know what it feels like to be happy. My friends, that's just the way it is a lie. All that junk in that bag that you're hauling around, you get to set it down and you get to decide what to keep and what to let go. And how are you going to know if you don't grow? This is the last in our specific series about personal growth. And I ask you, what do you keep? What do you shed? What's good? What helps you? How do you know unless you grow? If you just assume everything you told was true, everything you were told was true, if you just assume that everything you heard was right, you're carrying along a lot of weight, a lot of baggage. It's time to examine it. That's just the way it is. That's not true. That's not true at all. Here's what's true. You have the power to change what is. When you change, your circumstances change. When you change, your world changes. Every time you change in a positive direction, every time you grow in your ability to understand your purpose, act according to strong, good values, love people, care, make a difference. Every time you grow in that direction, you're not the only thing that changes. That's just the way it is, isn't the case anymore. It's different because of you. Because of you. These 3 myths, that's just me. That's just you so far. That's just them. Well, that's just them. And I'm putting up a boundary. And that's just the way it is until I grow and change it. There are truths that go along with those myths. You get to choose. And how will you know what to choose unless you grow? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. How do you know what change to make if you haven't grown? You grow, you make a change. You grow, you make a change. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful cycle. So Carol says this, my mom was pretty smart in our home. My mom just said Bykota, and which, okay, it's Bykota, and we knew to stop. It was like a secret code room in the house. It stood for be ye kind one to another. And we knew what she meant. Stop talking about that. She felt that Bykota was kinder. Yeah, be kind to each other. Right? I love that, Bykota. What a great secret word. And a little bit of a clue to call somebody out in case they're going down the wrong path, right? Without making a big deal about it. Your mom was a wise woman, Carol. All right, it is time to wrap this up. I want to end with this thought. You know that one of my core values, one of the things that keeps me grounded is my relationship with God. As I was thinking about these myths. That's just me. That's just them. That's just the way it is. I was reminded that no matter what kind of junk people hand us that we're maybe dragging along, no matter what kind of excuses we've been making for our bad behavior up until now, no matter what we've tolerated from other people up to this point, I know that this is what God says about me. And I believe that this is what God says about you. He says He created you to be great. He said He wanted to give you a hope and a future. He says you were created in His image, valued, resourced, destined for a life filled with love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and self-control. That's the life I believe God has for you. That's the truth. That's a core belief that you can build something on. And I invite you to take a look at those myths and replace them with the truth of what you know to be true about you and about what your future holds and what you were designed to be. All right, Carol's going to have the last word. And she says this: such a help to think we need to do better. By stopping it, we are growing. This helped me so much. I'm glad that it did. I love you all. God bless you. Have a great week. Make sure you share this with somebody that can be blessed by it, that can grow, who needs to hear it. And don't forget, this Tuesday night, May 28th, at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Thrive and Change page, I'm going to be interviewing the owner and the small business award winner, Missy Bobo. I couldn't think of the official name of that award. I'm sorry. The Michigan Celebrates Small Business Award winner, Missy Bobo. We're going to be talking on Tuesday night on this live. Go check out that event. Hit that you're going to attend it. Share it so that other people can. It really is going to be powerful. It's going to be great. If you know somebody who's a small business owner, who's an entrepreneur, who's thinking of starting their own business, maybe they have their own business like Norwex Consultant or Mary Kay, be sure to invite them. It's going to be a powerful time. All right. With that, love you all. Bye.